Already watched my Genealogy 201 video about FindAGrave? Here's a tip about how to assess the validity of FindAGrave's non-cemetery burial memorials, as well as an advanced technique to crack into ancestry.com search indices. I'm Mike ONeil, and I'm a big data professional and amateur genealogist who's made tons of mistakes since I picked up genealogy as a hobby in 2011. I want to help you learn from my mistakes. There is one type of FindAGrave memorial that I almost always reject, and that's non-cemetery burials, which includes deaths at sea and cremations. Why? Well, you're completely reliant on the quality of the submitter's research, and you almost never see supporting citations, so you can verify the submitter's research yourself. I do have a few exceptions to this, though. Take William Button's FindAGrave memorial. He died on 16 November 1620 aboard the Mayflower, a fact which you can easily validate with a Bing search. Another example is Captain Samuel Chew, who died on 4 March 1778. He was the captain of the brig Resistance during the Revolution and was killed in action at sea north of Barbados. Generally speaking, there's going to be some form of record when someone dies at sea in military action or drowns when a ship capsizes, whether it's a newspaper article, military record, or book. Another example is Joseph Patrick ONeil, my father. We cremated his body and, over the past decade, have left small amounts of his ashes at various places that were important to him or are important to us. I have a small urn right here. In this case, the recent death and note of cremation are a good sign you can trust the information in the memorial. Now, let's have some fun with this. Turn the whole situation with FindAGrave around. If you've encountered an old genealogy mistake, you may notice how difficult it is to get people to change their views. I also suspect that people new to the hobby will listen to the crowd, choosing the answers that everyone else has already picked, rather than taking a closer look at a contrary opinion. FindAGrave actually offers a way for you to get your alternative information into ancestry.com search indexes. It's not guaranteed to change people's minds, but having your contrary information appear as a hint in someone else's tree from a source that carries authority, well, that's going to cause some people, at least, to take a closer look. I did this a year ago for George Sloan of Pelham, Ontario. Many of George's descendants were resistant to acknowledging the blatantly obvious error in the accepted genealogy. The idea of them accepting an alternative, evidence-based genealogy that Liz Tice and I painfully pieced together? No way. Now, I spent close to 2 years researching the Schlauch or Sloan family in colonial Pennsylvania, and I didn't want to close out that work without doing my best to put it in front of future family researchers. So, since none of these Sloans appeared to have been buried in a cemetery with a tombstone, I decided to add George Sloan and his parents to FindAGrave's as non-cemetery burials. I also added memorials for the George Sloan of Northampton County, Pennsylvania, with whom the Pelham George was frequently confused. Now, when anyone searches for George Sloan of Pelham, Ontario, Ancestry.com returns an authoritative source, FindAGrave.com. That makes it look like it's the accepted old genealogy versus an authoritative FindAGrave record delivered in Ancestry.com. In reality, it's really just me, of course. Now, please don't do this lightly. If you enter in wrong information on FindAGrave and let it live for more than a few months, your mistake will live on for years in the family trees of others, even if you correct your mistake. If you do, it may take a few days for your memorial on FindAGrave to appear in Ancestry.com's indices. Also, you should be aware of FindAGrave's policy about memorial ownership. If you are not a direct relative within 4 generations of the deceased, you can be forced to transfer ownership of a memorial to someone who is. In summary, a good genealogist should give extra scrutiny to FindAGrave's non-cemetery burials. At the same time, however, a good genealogist can help others out by taking advantage of FindAGrave's non-cemetery burials they can sneak their high-quality research into Ancestry.com's indices and hint system.